Hi, my name is Breanna Dale. I'm the registered dietitian and certified diabetes educator at the Sapulpa Indian Health Center, and today I'm going to teach you the basics of reading the food label. I want to start off by going over the difference between the old label versus the new label. You may see both of these on products at this time. The first thing that I'm going to point out is that the serving size and calories are in bold font and larger size now. This is to make it easier for you to find these when you look at the nutrition label. The next thing that you may notice is that total sugar now includes the amount of added sugar versus naturally occurring sugar. If you go down to the bottom of the label, where you see the vitamins and minerals listed, you will see that the old label has vitamin A, vitamin C, calcium, and iron. The new label contains vitamin D, calcium, iron, and potassium. Potassium and vitamin D have replaced vitamin A and vitamin C. This is because vitamin D and potassium are nutrients that we usually do not get enough of, and this is an effort to help you increase those in your diet. The last thing that I want to point out is that the serving sizes have been changed on some of the labels. This is to reflect a more normal portion size that most of us would eat. So you want to start with the serving size when you look at the nutrition label. The serving size does not indicate how much you should eat, but instead allows us to see how much and what nutrients we will get from consuming that amount of food. You can use this information to figure out the nutrition facts for the portion size you choose to eat. Example, if the nutrition label has a serving size of a half cup and you choose to eat 1 cup, you would want to double everything on the label to figure out the nutrition facts that you're getting. When you compare two labels of similar foods, remember that the serving sizes might be different, and this is something you will want to consider. After you've looked at the serving size, you can look at the total fat. Total fat includes all fat in the food and comes in the form of saturated fat, trans fat, monounsaturated fat, and polyunsaturated fat. The bad fats are the saturated fat and trans fats. We would like to try to eat less of these. We also have fats that we call good fats, the monounsaturated fat and polyunsaturated fat. And these are the fats that we want to try to eat more of. Saturated fat and trans fat are always listed on the label, but you may or may not see the good fats listed. A food can be considered low fat as long as it has 3 grams of fat, total fat, per 100 calories. The American Heart Association recommends that no more than 6 to 7% of calories come from saturated fat. If you were eating a 2,000 calorie diet, this would be 13 grams per day. I also want to point out the trans fat. Trans fat is what we know as a man-made fat. We would like to consume 0 grams of trans fat per day. If there is less than half a gram of trans fat per serving, the label may say that there are 0 grams of trans fat in the food. So it's important to read the ingredient list to figure out if there actually is any trans fat in the food. You can find the ingredient list usually below the nutrition facts label or out to the side. When you look through the ingredient list, it's important to look for the words hydrogenated or partially hydrogenated oil. If you see those words, then you know that the food has some trans fat in it. This would give you an idea of whether or not you want to include this food or find a different food to replace it. Next, I want to look at sodium. For most people, the recommended sodium intake is 2,300 milligrams per day. A food can be considered low in sodium as long as it has less than 140 milligrams of sodium per serving. The next thing you can look at for sodium is the percent daily value. This is the percentage that is located out to the right on the nutrition label. If this number is 5% or less, it is considered low in sodium. If this is 20% or higher, then it is considered high in sodium. We want to try to consume more foods that are lower in sodium and less that are high. A food that claims to be reduced sodium may or may not be low in sodium. This just means that the product has less sodium than the original food product. It's important to check the nutrition facts label to see how much sodium is actually still in this product. The last thing that I want to go over with you is counting carbohydrates. This is important to do, especially if you want to help control your blood sugar. The total carbohydrates includes total sugar, other starches, and fiber. Under the total sugars, you can find out how much sugar was added to the product during production. It's best to try to limit the foods that are high in added sugar because they are more likely to raise your blood sugar quickly. Instead, we want to choose carbohydrate foods that are high in fiber. These are less likely to spike your blood sugar. You can find fiber located directly under total carbohydrates. The grams of fiber is included in the total grams of carbohydrates. If a food claims to be a good source of whole grains, this will mean it has fiber. It's always important to check the label, though, to determine how many grams it actually contains. A food can be considered high in fiber as long as it has 5 or more grams of fiber per serving. It's important that we try to get between 25 and 35 grams of fiber per day. Now that we've gone over the basics of label reading, I'd like to turn it over to Tori, who is going to be showing you a food demo today. Thank you.
Hi, welcome to the 2020 Diabetes Summit cooking demo. My name is Tori. I'm the dietitian at the Muscogee Creek Nation Okemah Diabetes Program. And today we're gonna do a sheet pan chicken fajita that's super easy and has 2 servings of carbohydrates in it, which is about 30 grams per serving, which is 2 tacos. The ingredients is going to be 1 pound of boneless, skinless chicken breasts, 2 tablespoons of olive oil, 1 tablespoon of chili powder, 2 teaspoons of ground cumin, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, 3/4 a teaspoon of salt and pepper, 1/2 a teaspoon of oregano, 1 large red bell pepper sliced, 1 large yellow bell pepper sliced, 2 cups sliced red or yellow onion, which is about 1 large, 1 tablespoon lime juice, 8 corn tortillas warmed, and then for toppings, you can add lime wedges, cilantro, light sour cream, avocado, and pico de gallo. So this is 1 pound boneless, skinless chicken breast. We cut it horizontally, and then now we're gonna be cutting it into strips. This is gonna be serving about 4 people. So now that we have everything prepped and ready to go, we're gonna start with making our sauce that's gonna go over the veggies and the chicken to go on the baking sheet. So we're gonna start with an olive oil, and this is gonna be a healthier oil that we wanna choose instead of a butter or unhealthy oil. Next, we're gonna be putting in chili powder. And we already measured all of these out. So this is going to be 1 tablespoon of chili powder. Next is going to be 2 teaspoons of our cumin. Next is going to be 1 teaspoon of garlic powder. Then 3/4 teaspoon of salt and black pepper. Next is going to be 1/2 of a teaspoon of oregano. So we're going to mix this all together to make sure it's nice and combined before we add in the veggies and chicken. So now that that's mixed, we're gonna add in the chicken that we already sliced up. We're gonna coat that. And baking our chicken is gonna be a healthier way of cooking the chicken versus frying it. Now we're gonna add our veggies, and I have 4 different colors of our bell peppers here, but like I said earlier, you can use the green bell peppers if that's the cheapest option for you available. All those 4 bell peppers make a wonderful color. And lastly, we're gonna add in our sliced onions and make sure that that's nice and coated by our oil and seasonings. So now that we have our chicken and veggies coated in our seasoning and oil, we're going to just dump it on a sprayed pan with the oil and just dump it on. And this is nice and easy, quick meal for families on the go or just needing a quick recipe for a weeknight. Just gonna throw that on there, make sure everything is kind of on an even layer so it cooks evenly. Just make sure the chicken's not all lumped up. The veggies are an even layer there. And we're just gonna put this in the oven at 400 degrees for 15 minutes. And then we're going to put it on broil for about 5 minutes until the chicken is completely cooked through and the veggies have a little bit of a brown on them. So there's two ways you can warm up a tortilla. The first one is grab a few tortillas, wrap it up in a damp cloth, and put it in the microwave for a few minutes. The second way to warm up tortillas is grab a few tortillas, lay it out on a baking sheet, and put it in the oven right before your chicken and veggies are ready to come out. Here are some toppings you can top your sheet pan chicken fajitas with. We have avocados, lime wedges, light sour cream, which is a healthier choice than the regular sour cream, and then cilantro. If your family doesn't like cilantro, you're welcome to try a parsley instead, which is gonna give the same look but a different taste. Thank you for joining us for our 2020 Diabetes Summit cooking demo. This is hopefully an easy recipe you can try at home with your family that is quick and easy and healthy for the whole family.